Hi there, it's Alexandra from the Middlesized Garden YouTube channel and blog, and I'm here with garden designer and Great British Bake Off star Jane Beadle to talk about creating a lovely festive table with garden clippings and foraged decorations. Jane runs cookery workshops, flower arranging workshops and others from Jane's Kitchen in Kent, so I'll put that link in the description below. If you're new here, the Middlesized Garden uploads free videos every Saturday, and if you'd like to see those videos when you open up YouTube, then click subscribe, and if you'd like YouTube to tell you when there's a new video, click the notifications bell. The law around foraging varies from country to country and even from district to district, so it's worth just checking up what the law is around you. But broadly speaking, in the United Kingdom, you are allowed to pick wildflowers, berries, foliage, as long as you're not going to sell anything on, and you can't dig up the whole plant. But it is worth remembering that if, of course, you're on private land, you'd need to have the permission of the landowner to be on that land in the first place. So Jane, tell us what your first tips are for foraging for Christmas decoration.
The first thing I look for is greenery, because it gives you a good base for the table and to put other things on. So ivy, sometimes you can go to Christmas tree sellers when they've trimmed off the lower branches and persuade them just to give you bits of that as well, so that's jolly good. But just wander around your garden or in the wild, but obviously take notice of the foraging rules to find bits of green that you can use, and then just keep your eye out for anything that looks gorgeous. So look for wildflower heads that have died and just look brown and a bit unprepossessing, I suppose, and they would look amazing tucked in amongst some gorgeous green foliage, and you could always sort of give that little spray to brighten it up. I do love a bit of gold at Christmas or a bit of glitter. So if you're then looking at wild flowers, at this time of year most of the seeds have dropped, so they're of no use for birds foraging for food in the autumn. So, and then look at the form of that flower head. Now it may be a little bit unprepossessing, but imagine how it's tucked in with the greenery. So I like to take sort of wild carrot heads that sort of almost star-like now, and tuck those in and then spray them with a bit of gold or add a little bit of fruit to enliven them. It's amazing what you can find. So don't write anything off, don't stick anything on the compost at this time of year, just take it inside, see what it looks like on the table, and you can always chuck it out afterwards if it doesn't work. Grass heads are amazing too, from the garden. Don't take the ones from the wild, but if you're going to take things like grass heads indoors, spray them with a hairspray, because it stops all the seeds so they're flying absolutely everywhere. You don't want them sort of molting in your Christmas dinner, but you'll be surprised what you can find. So a good mix of greenery and brownery, for want of a better word, and of course the fantastic pine cones, if you've got any of those tucked away. You'll be surprised what you can create with very little.
Winter is a really good time of year to be pruning things like deciduous trees and other clippings, and I think that you picked up some rather good clippings from a neighbour, didn't you?
A neighbour had obviously been pruning their bay tree, and there were bags of bay tree clippings outside the front door saying please help yourself, and they're fantastic. So you'll be surprised. You might find neighbours who don't really want to go to the tip but have pruned their, I don't know, birch trees or holly trees, or pyracantha berries are particularly wonderful at this time of year. So yeah, there's lots of stuff around. You just have to open your eyes and have a little look and just be inspired, and I hope we're going to be able to do that today. So the way I like to set about a table is I just sort of make it up as I go along really and see what I've got. But generally I've got ivy. Ivy's everywhere and nobody minds if you nick any ivy, and I think it's a good place to start. See the pieces that you can find. This one's really rather long for the end of the table. In one of my old gardens I only ever really found ivy, and I would just build the ivy up and put twinkly lights in, and it just looked lovely because you can wind it around things. This is a bit woody because it's been climbing up a tree, but it gives a good base. And if you really want to be creative, you could tie some ivy around a napkin, which looks very pretty. And I find that ivy will last. If you want to do this the day before, Christmas Eve, say, or whenever you're going to have your dinner, Just set it up the day before and your ivy will look absolutely fine the next day. It'll probably last a good 3 days. So you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to stick it in oasis or pots of water or anything like that. You just lay it out. Now, if you only had ivy, probably don't need it heading onto somebody's plate. But if you only have ivy, or forage some pine cones. These are rather enormous pine cones, actually. I picked these up in Portugal many years ago and they've lasted for years and years and years. But you can go and get free pine cones, pick them up wherever you want to go, and they look lovely. So if you're in town and there really isn't much forage out and about, you can just use some lights and some ivy. We'll find something just to hide the box, which is quite a long table, so we'll just use a second set of lights. And then we'll just tuck those in there and then layer it up with a bit more ivy on top so you're hiding your boxes. I'm just going to make a little ivy wreath to go round my candles. This looks very pretty as well, twined up and down the stairs if you want to put it round your banisters. Last year I twined it round my stairs with some baubles tied to it, and one of my dogs, who absolutely loves baubles, kept chewing the baubles off. But I'm going to pop it just over my candles in the middle, so it's a good place to hide up some of the gubbins that you don't want everybody to see, and only you know that your light switches are lurking there, so you can do that. And then I've got lots of lovely berries, but if you don't have berries, you can always get some little bits of fruit that have been lurking in the fruit bowl, and pop those in amongst your bits of foraged greenery. And then, oh, I've only got purple baubles here, I'm afraid, but I think you get the idea. This comes from sending your husband up in the loft to get Christmas decorations. No sense of colouring. But the purple's not bad. So very quickly, and this is all in real time, very quickly you can set a really pretty table just with ivy, a bit of fruit from the fruit bowl, and a couple of old pine cones. So I think that looks really rather pretty myself. As we could turn the lights on, I'm not sure if the twinkle will come through. There we go, there's a bit of twinkle there. And then we can light the candles. So that's the simplest form of table decorations. Now, I am not a flower arranger, but I think that gives a really lovely festive feel to the table. So this is version 2, if you like, if you've got a bit more to forage rather than just ivy. So I've got some nice bits of conifer here. Most people don't mind if you prune off a bit of conifer. Ask permission first. You can't just go around pruning other people's trees, but it's quite nice, and it has that Christmassy smell to it. Pop a line of these. Again, this will last a good probably 3 or 4 days on the table. So if you've got, how long are we allowed this year? 5 days with people visiting. This will probably last you 5 days. If you wanted to keep your table decorated the whole time. And I think looks rather jolly, and it's a very good excuse not to dust the table, which is, for me, is always a bonus. So I'm just going to lay those on there. Now, I managed to get some really good forage stuff locally, and I've got these teasels, which are a bit of a pest when they're out and about. They're a bit spiky, so you have to treat them with caution. But they're a bit of a pest because they self-seed absolutely everywhere. But sprayed with a little bit of gold, they're so structural and lovely. I'm just going to build them up in the centre, and it'll stop people playing with the decorations as well once they spike themselves a couple of times. Very fortunate to be here. Of course, if you're in the middle of town, you're probably not going to get teasels, but it just goes to show you what you can do with things just around and about. Just lay them down. And the nice thing about this, I mean, I suppose the gold paint isn't particularly eco-friendly, but the rest of it can just go in, it can all go in the compost. I've also got some of this that I found when I was out foraging. Now you would think this is just dead stuff and you wouldn't take any notice, but look how pretty. It almost looks like fairy breath, I think, or should at this time of the year we say elf breath. I just think it looks absolutely gorgeous and very delicate. So as I said, just don't turn anything down, you never know. But this all looks so pretty, and then you can cut it down. So when you, oh, this is another one. So this, you'll see just, I'm not sure what this is, I think it's wild carrot. And I haven't bothered to spray this bit, but it very often closes up. So you see this is all closed up, but that makes a really rather nice structural thing on the table. So I'm just going to chop bits off. So it's got short stems here. Try not to knock the glasses over. And just build that up. So this is probably I don't know, I like a bit of bling at Christmas, but this is probably a little bit classier than all the plastic purple baubles. But I think if you can't have bling at Christmas, when can you? So this is probably more of a country foraged theme, probably. And look at these. These look like stars almost, don't they? Lovely stars. You could use alliums. If you've got allium heads in the garden, they would look lovely. Again, something foraged. Now, if you've got grass seeds in the garden, grass heads of miscanthus or something like that, or pheasant grass or anything like that, and you're bringing them in for Christmas, give them a good spray with some hairspray, because they will, in the warmth, start shedding their seeds, and you really don't want them shedding everywhere. So just any common or garden old hairspray, just give them a good spray. I did look to see whether you could get Christmas scented hairspray, but I couldn't find any. That would have been quite nice. So that tucks over the middle just to cover up my plate. And then back with the fairy lights. I'm just going to wind these through. And you can always, doesn't matter, you can always cover up the bits that you don't want to see with another bit of greenery. So just tuck that in there, thank you very much. Somebody's just, and that in itself looks pretty, but I was very fortunate to find some berries out and about. And these have got some lichen on, which is really rather nice. So, and they go beautifully with these glasses, Alexandra's glasses, and they just look really, really lovely, these berries. I wouldn't bring your berries in until you want to use them. Leave them outside just in case they start to go. But these are quite, I think they're a type of hawthorn berry, and they look really rather lovely. And then some rose hips, always gorgeous. Now these probably won't hang about for ages, but they'll still do 2 or 3 days. But I'm just going to tuck them in to add that nice blast of red. Please note that I haven't as yet used any holly. It's amazing what you can find. Look at this. Oh, it's like a real upmarket florist, isn't it? Perhaps I've missed my calling. Doesn't that look pretty? Even if you just had that on the table, that would look so pretty. But as I have got some holly, and I was fortunate enough to find some with some really good berries. I think it's a good berry year this year. And just tuck a bit of holly in just for a bit of Yuletide spirit. Not too much, don't need too much. Just put the extra bit of red. And again, this is in real time. This has taken me no time at all. I mean, the foraging probably took the longest. But if you collect it as you're out on a walk, or just when you see it, really. I mean, you won't always have a pair of secateurs on you, I'm sure, but look at that. Doesn't that look gorgeous for sort of real traditional colours?
So it's really not going to take you long. It's not going to cost you much. The thing that takes most of the time, of course, is going out and foraging. But then we all love going for a walk in the winter. And afterwards, you can throw everything into the compost, so it's really no waste. And if you're interested in zero waste Christmases, then look at the playlist at the end of this video, which is called Zero Waste Christmas Decorations, because that's got some more projects that we've done for Christmas. And if you found this helpful, then please do hit like, because then I'll know you'd like to hear more about sustainability in the garden. And do subscribe to the Middlesized Garden YouTube channel, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.